Hey everyone, hi, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Shelly and today I'm going to be talking about One Piece, the manga series. Now if you're not new to my channel and you're wondering, Shelly, what in the world are you doing? I'm asking myself that question as well. And so that's why I'm making this video and I'm diving in, hopefully to understand this One Piece in me, the manga series, and hopefully give you all some information about One Piece. Now, if you're not new to my channel, then you ought to know that me and manga on this channel, this is our first meeting. This is the first time I'm talking about manga on my channel. If you're here for that, and mostly if you like the vibes and you're enjoying hanging out with me, I would encourage you to subscribe, stick around, and without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I have some questions to keep me on track. So here are my questions in the order in which I am going to answer them. So what is my history with manga? How did I hear about One Piece? Access, how do I access One Piece? It's like a whole thing. I have recently finished volume 1, chapters 1 through 3. And so my question is, what did I just read? So like maybe a little bit about the sense of the world I'm getting into. What do I think about the art and my future between myself and One Piece? Those are my questions. Those will be time-stamped down below in case you want to skip to a specific section. And let's go ahead and get into this. So myself and manga, well, about a day and a half ago, I was still calling it manga. I was very stubborn about this because I grew up, I'm a quarter Japanese. I've been exposed to manga in some form or another, I feel like my whole life. I don't know if that's exactly true. I have visited Japan when I was really little, and so I knew what that was, like what that genre is. Essentially, I knew what manga is, but I had never read any of it before. And sometimes and they're very long series. There's like a lot of books in a series, and they were always intriguing, in some way or another. In my youth, I had always flirted with the idea, or at least thought about flirting with the idea of picking one up. Fast forward to graduate school. And I was learning about library and information science. I have my education in librarianship with a focus on children and young adult literature. So I had thought, I want to really get the most out of my education. So I want to try a lot of different forms of books as I'm taking this class about young adult literature and what appeals to in the history of young adult literature, what appeals to young adults and the history of young adult literature. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do a manga, but I was still calling it manga, and I still might. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna read it. It's gonna be a thing. So I picked up Fruits Basket. I believe that's what it's called, and I'll have a picture on the screen. So Fruits Baskets, or Basket. I don't know if it's plural or not. I read the first volume of that, and it was really the format that threw me off. So with manga, you start with the last page and you read right to left rather than left to right, and top to bottom still. I did not really make the most out of that reading situation. I don't really feel bad about that, and I don't really shame my past self for that at all. I had a lot going on. But the format constantly was tripping me up. It was causing me to fumble in the reading experience. I didn't really get a good grasp on it or a rhythm, and I felt like I was like always struggling through and mixing up how I was reading the story. And I walked away from it feeling like it wasn't a great experience and that I probably wasn't going to continue with this genre because it wasn't really jiving with me. A few years later, after that reading experience, or maybe even a year later, I was looking for something to read, and I decided to finally pick up a series that my husband had wanted me to read for ages. And it is the Katsuhiro Otomo series, and this is Akira, the 6 volumes of Akira. And this is, well, Otomo, the artist and the creator of this series, is amazing. He's like really incredible at world building, fantastic at writing and drawing action scenes. I mean, really a perfected style and beautiful, incredible work. I quite liked this series. The reason why I decided to pick it up is because this is printed and made for an English reading audience, because I think they mirrored it. So instead of reading right to left, you do read left to right, and you don't start at what we would consider the last page to start the story. If the binding is on the left side, then you open it up to the first page, and that's your first page. So there was no learning curve. The format wasn't an issue at all. And I really enjoyed this like cuckoo's bananas crazy, super creative, super like off the wall imaginative world that Otomo created. And this was a really good reading experience for me. I really enjoyed it. I would say that I'm not reviewing this right now, but I can't help it. So I would say that in terms of character was weaker than his setting and pacing and, plot points. They're like, the whole thing is just like this super fast-paced action story, and it's a little light on character, which I love characters, and so it worked, but it wasn't like something that I very rarely talk about this on my channel. I don't even know if I've mentioned it, that I've read this on my channel, so this is the first you're getting from me. So I read the whole Akira series, and now I am reading One Piece. So college, fruits basket, Akira, that is my brief history with manga, and now I'm jumping into One Piece. So how did I hear about One Piece? So I think it was my first full year on BookTube. I was starting a buddy read with Una at the Codex Cantina, and whenever I get together with another booktuber and we're really starting to talk in earnest about book taste and what we enjoy and our preferences, all of that kind of stuff, there's this rapid fire, like, have you read this? Have you read that? What did you think about that? This is one of my favorite books. Have you read it? There's like this really kind of quick and like learning curve about the other person's reading taste, and like how aligned you are in some ways, and like there's just like this really kind of quick getting to know you session often, at least for me, about what the other person likes and like how often they read a certain genre and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of happens in quick succession, and at least I walk away with like a better understanding of like the kind of reader someone else is and their reading taste. And during this conversation, Una was like, I know you'll really love this manga series called One Piece. Like, from what I'm getting about what you like about reading and why you like it and the things that touch you as a reader, you're gonna love One Piece. Like, we should do a buddy read of it. And I think at the time I agreed, and we set it for several months in the future. Now, when those several months were coming up, I was like, I don't know about this. It looks really long, and I'm not even a manga reader. And so I think I was like, can we maybe push it off? Or I don't know. I just don't know. And of course, Una was very kind about it. And we went our separate reading ways. And of course, we connect still every once in a while on BookTube. But for the most part, we were, that was sort of like our hurrah as reading buddies. And who knows what will happen in the future. Now, I don't know, because that conversation with Una happened about 2 years ago. I don't know what's happened between 2 years and now. I think a live action animation or a live action video television series of One Piece came out, because more recently I've been getting fed through videos and actually people that I follow reviewing or talking about One Piece in one iteration or another, whether it be the television show or the manga series. And it's been back on my radar. And so I don't know. Then yesterday I was like, I don't know, I want to read that. That sounds interesting. Like Una said it was for me, that I might really like it. And so I decided I'm going to figure out how to read this on my iPad. And then I won't have the experience of starting on the last page and reading with the spine on the wrong side in my Americanized reading experience. That if I read on my iPad, I'll just have to swipe the opposite direction and then still hopefully ride the learning curve of reading right to left. Let's get into access. So there is essentially a manga library that is accessible on the Kindle with a paid subscription of $1.99, and it's called Viz, V-I-Z. Weirdly, I couldn't, and I don't know if this is just how it's set up, but I couldn't access individual chapters of One Piece on Viz. Instead, I had to download Shonen Jump. Hopefully I'm showing you little icons. I had to download Shonen Jump. I set up a Viz account so that I could save things and heart things, and I can have like a favorites list. And with that same Viz login on Shonen Jump, I still logged in, but I paid, or I'm still on the 1 week free trial of Shonen Jump, and there I have no problems accessing the individual chapters of One Piece. And they even have a very convenient continue reading section on their homepage, and so I can leave the app, exit the app, go back in, and I can open up the chapter that I was reading, and it'll go straight back to the exact place that I'm reading. However, it did take a minute because I did sign up for Viz and create an account, and it took me a little while to realize that these are subscription services. And so I did sign up for a subscription service for Viz, and I couldn't still access the One Piece. And then with Shonen Gun, I could. So I'm reading it on my Kindle with Shonen Gun. Shonen Jump. Oh my goodness. I keep on thinking it's Shogun because of the book by James Clavell, Shogun, but it's Shonen Jump. So that's how I'm accessing it. All right, what did I just read? That is the question, because, oh my goodness, it's interesting. So we start off with a little boy named Luffy who is interested in being a pirate. And through a traumatic event, a pirate essentially saves his life as a little boy, and he gets certain powers. Although I'm not really sure if they're powers or if it's just, it's not super strength, it's just unique abilities. And then that sort of concludes episode 1, or like chapter 1. In chapter 2, in chapter 1, Luffy's this little boy. In chapter 2, we see him when he's quite a bit older. He is not this little squat character anymore. He's like a lot bigger. He has this like iconic straw hat, and he's decided that he wants to be a pirate. But I get this sense that he doesn't know how to be a pirate. So he's like learning how to be a pirate, and he's putting his crew together. And of course, during this time of putting the crew together, adventure ensues. The world is incredibly fantastical. I mean, it's not the pirate world reflecting like our world that we humans live in. It's definitely like fantastical. It seems in some ways a little bit serious, but there are also like cheeky, funny moments, but they're not slapstick, or I don't feel like the author is talking down to me at all. So the writer and illustrator is Eiichiro Oda, and there's a good balance of like peril and a little bit of violence, but it's always kind of played off, but not in a way that it feels like directed towards children. There are times where I do find myself smiling or like giggling at like giggling. I mean, that makes me feel really young, but like sort of laughing or snickering to myself at like what's happening, or like I'm finding myself smiling because I'm delighted by what's happening. I'm not really sure what to say about the art yet, but it is used already in an interesting way. Like, there's already been a flashback, and then, you know, we go back to the present moment, and that is really illustrated to the reader through the illustrations, and it's done in a clever way. There is this, whenever a new character is introduced, they get their own half page, and there's this like, you know, a sense of detail and intricacy, and I think like a sense of fun from our illustrator, that the character has a lot of character when you see them visually. Like, it's, no one is sort of skimped out. It's like we're not skipping out on like the intricacies of character even visually, and I really appreciate that. So I'm excited when someone new is being introduced because we get their full character. And then of course we're not getting the like perfect like three boxes and then 3 rows. You know, we're not getting like a standard comic setup, but we're getting, there's like a lot of playfulness of how the page is used. I don't know enough about manga to explain the history of like if this is unique for the genre or if the page has always sort of been used in a creative way, meaning that sometimes he uses the full page to have an illustration that's contributing to the story, and sometimes there are 10 boxes to help move the story along. And I'm really glad to say that in terms of the learning curve, because it's on my iPad, I've totally ridden the learning curve, and now it feels very natural to read right to left. And I'm doing it without any sort of hiccups. Now, here's what I have to say. Me and the future of One Piece. I'm really enjoying this. I'm really tired today. This is like contextual today. I'm busy this month because it's the holidays. I've got a lot going on. I'm tired because I just had company and it was a lot. And in the best way, I had like the best person visit me and it was just wonderful. But it means like today I feel very low energy, and it's doing this thing where it's like really getting in and amongst my imagination. One Piece is. It's getting in and amongst my imagination, and I'm delighted by it enough, and I'm curious enough about this like weird, fantastical, odd world that I want to keep reading. So this is the first episode, essentially, like the first 3 chapters is like the first session between me and One Piece, and it's gone really great. And I kind of want to get back to it because I'm curious, and that's the best feeling to have. Because there have been times where I am enjoying a graphic novel, but when I'm not reading it, I'm not curious about it. I'm not thinking about it in my own time. And with this, when I'm away from it, I am thinking about it. And so that's a good sign, you know? So if you know anything about this graphic novel, this manga series, I know there's a television series connected to it, like cartoon television series. Now there's like a live action television series attached to it. So if you know anything, share. Is it worth it? I think there's like 1,000 episodes now, like over 1,000 episodes of this thing, this story. I don't know if I'll get through the whole 1,000, but the first 3 were a lot of fun. And I'm one of those people that I'll read while it's still fun, but if I'm not enjoying it anymore, like I'll stop. So I guess we'll see how far it gets and what you all say, because you all, you know, have influence over me. So that's it from me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you all in my next one. Bye.